Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Bill Kinney. I was past president of the Ohio Oil and Gas Association and a past recipient of this. Somebody asked me earlier why I have two pins on, because my father was also a recipient. And we were talking earlier about how many families have had multiple recipients, which is a character that this association has that's wonderful. Tom Stewart and I are going to introduce the inductees tonight. And I'm going to just take one moment of your time to tell you that in 1979 was the first time I met Tom Stewart on the stage here for the Ohio Oil and Gas Association winter meeting. And at the time, it was downtown. There were probably 1,500 people in the room, and the two most nervous people there were me and Tom Stewart. And we gave each other a soaking wet handshake behind the stage. And when I stepped up on the dais, which was 10 feet higher than this even, it was a sea of cowboy hats with feather boas, boots and belt buckles. It was a real time. So it's fun to be through it. The Hall of Fame was established in 1987 to recognize and honor individuals who made significant contributions to the industry over their careers. The selected honorees come from all segments of the industry, each making their own distinct contribution, which in some way has benefited the industry. Our Ohio and oil and gas industry has a unique and proud history, and by honoring these individuals, we truly honor the industry.
Oh, thank you. Looks great. The concept of the Hall of Fame honors dinner originates from thoughts of then Association President Gene Brazel on ways to honor industry veterans. Early in '87, Gene happened to explore these thoughts with the Political Action Committee. The committee members agreed enthusiastically and endorsed the idea and decided to take it on as a committee function with the secondary purpose of raising funds for our political advocacy.
Since 1987, 149 individuals have been inducted into the Ohio Oil and Gas Hall of Fame. And the event has been held every 4 years since 1994.
At this point in the ceremony, I think it's fitting that we recognize those Hall of Famers who have passed away since the last induction ceremony. They include Jerry Huffman, R.C. Dick Pulling, E.A. Mike Smith, Robert Bobcat Bob Barrick, Carl Heinrich, a lion of the industry, J.W. Bill Straker, Charlie Call, and Graham Robb. If you watched the video as this ceremony started, you saw a picture in the beginning of the photo, and it's up on the screen now. And I think it's really fitting to look at a picture like that and look at the threads that run through this industry from beginning to end. In that picture is Henry Cameron, who was in the first Hall of Fame presented. And the two boys in front, it's an amazing picture. The two boys in front, the smaller one there on the left, that's Dick Cameron. And in the one next to him in the check jacket, believe it or not, that's Jim Cameron. And he looks just like he always looked right there in that picture. Family business, great family, Hall of Famers. There's 3 of Hall of Famers standing in that picture. They're all gone now, like the ones I just read now. But those threads are threads that we live today.
At the dinner tonight, there's some Hall of Fame inductees that from previous years that are here. And if you would, please stand up and we'd like to recognize you. Tom Giusti, Joe Haas, Gene Huck, Jerry James, Bob McVicker, Jack Miller, Bob Moss, please stand up, Jerry Oles, and Perry Pipes is here. I invited him specifically because his dad, Percy, it was a memorable event when Percy got his award. Dan Potmeyer, and of course Tom Stewart, Sarah Tipka, and Sally Jordan is here for Jerry Jordan. There's Sally. There she is. Thank you all. Thank you for coming, Sally. My one regret, I only have one regret in life, and that is that when Jerry took me to lunch at Bob Evans and mapped out my life on that placemat in 3 colors, I didn't keep it. And when Keller produced his, I was like, God damn it. It was all there, and he was right. He was a great guy and a great contributor to the industry, as all of these people were and are. Thank you.
John Airy.
Oh, it wasn't on my list.
Did we
Sorry.
get Jerry Woods?
Huh?
Did we get Jerry Woods?
I did get Jerry. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Sorry, John.
The 2 of us walked around the room twice to make sure.
Trying. The OOGA welcomes the 10th class of inductees into the Hall of Fame on this evening, Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022. They include Thomas Atha, Sr., William Bill Bennett, Keith Britton, James Buchwald, Maurice Chapin, Dr. Robert Chase, Dwayne Clark, Frank Gonzalez, John Keller, John Miller, William Bill Benton, Robert Thomas, and Karen Wright. If you know anything about the exploration industry in the state of Ohio, there's one name that always pops up, and that's the Athas. And Howard Atha is a member of the Hall of Fame. We inducted him probably 15 years ago. Tonight we're going to induct Tom Atha, his son, who carried on that explorationist tradition, has found a ton of oil and gas in his state in some really weird places. Congratulations, Tom Atha. Please come forward.
Hello. It's good to be here amongst friends and like-minded people. I knew I'd just choke when I got up here, so it's a great honor. I don't know how to say it. I can't believe I'm actually being inducted into this Hall of Fame. And I just want to thank everyone that was responsible for that. I want to say thank you to my family. I love you. You've been behind me all these years and given me the support I needed to carry on. And thanks to all the industry members that have been part of what I've been doing, and I'm proud to be part of what you've been doing. So maybe that's it. Thank you.
Bill Bennett and I have sort of had parallel careers. We both went to, can't read, can't write, can't remember last night, Kent State. And as you see in his bio, he was in the Army. He worked for David Waldron, Bigfoot. And what a great time. What a boom we lived through. And Bill was a geologist and then came out on his own. And through the years, we have crisscrossed each other's paths, which has been wonderful. Project Review, President of the Ohio and Gas Association. We each ushered legislation through. I did 278, and Bill, the Senate Bill 165, really was another key foundation in terms of the regulation and operation of the industry, and a tremendous amount of work, and something that you can always be proud of. So come on up, Bill.
Thank you, Tom. First of all, thank you to the committee for inducting me. Of course, it's a great honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and thank you to Doug Gonzalez for nominating me. I'm standing here to thank many people that have made my oilfield career so rewarding and interesting. I met some of the absolute best people in the world in the oil and gas industry. First and most importantly is my wife, Tammy. You know, when you start your own business, you struggle for a while, expenses are higher, phone calls in the middle of the night. I mean, we all know that. Missing times, missing events, that all happens. But I thank her so much for her love, support, and encouragement in those tough years. And she made a lot of sacrifices, and I love her for doing it. Thank you. Second, I need to extend many thanks to my good friend and business partner of 23 years, Mark Conway. Great guy. You know, we pursued our dreams, having your own business, and speaking for myself, a lot of fear of failure. But we got through it, you know, and had some good rewarding times over those 23 years. And I also need to thank Mark for his support and encouragement when I was volunteering for the association. He stepped up and took part of my workload when I was out working for the association. When I became involved with OOGA, I very soon met Tom Stewart. He quickly got me involved in committees and over the years onto the executive committee. I appreciate his support and wisdom with the association matters. He's a great friend and influenced my involvement with OOGA greatly. While many people have helped and influenced me with my involvement with OOGA, I'd like to mention one more person who's very special, and he's been mentioned already tonight. That person was a successful attorney, oilman, OOGA president, and chairman of the IPAA, and a Hall of Fame member. That person is the late Jerry Jordan. That's Mark's father. For some reason, he decided to take me under his wing, to be a mentor to me. I'll forever be grateful for that, but more importantly than what he did for me is that people like him and Tom and Bill and others are the kind of people that make up your association. We all know that in this room. I mean, they're just great people. Thank you again to my wife, Tammy, and all my friends and colleagues that were part of my oil field life. It's been a fantastic journey and a real honor to be inducted. Thank you.
Turns out their names are on the award. Who knew? Not me. So Mr. Atha's got to bring his back. Note to Bill. So part of the oil and gas business is, a lot of us know, is operating wells, operating your own wells, which I did of my own and Park, Ohio before that. In those days, a CB radio was our source of communication among workers and between the pumpers and the truck drivers, water haulers and oil haulers. And I met Keith Britton over the radio, really. And to this day, he still calls me Wild Bill, which was my handle. Remember, we all had handles, right? So that's how I met Keith originally, was as a driver for Quaker State. And you can see in the bio he had other places that he worked, but what we have all known him as an oil buyer for Quaker State and then now Aragon. And it's interesting, as Tom Stewart says, we are price takers, not price makers. So there's really no negotiations involved. There's a relationship that's established. And what Keith was good at, what he knew how to do, was to establish those personal relationships. And as we keep saying, that is such a big part of the industry. And Keith, on behalf of everybody, I want to welcome you to this community. Please come on up.
Thank you. Some people say I don't need this microphone, so I'll try to keep it down. What a great day to be an oil man. $110 oil, and I'm going into the Hall of Fame. I want to thank the association, all the producers that I've fostered relationships with over the years. And we're going to cut her short. God bless Ukraine. And I want to thank my wife, Laura, for putting up with me 35 years. Thank you.
Hold on.
There are innovators and then there are innovators. Our next inductees are a classic case of people who innovate and lead. If you're in the natural gas business, you probably have used many times aerial compressors. What many people don't know is that they are made here in Ohio, right in Mount Vernon, and they're essentially an invention and a progression of technology that has reached worldwide, right out of Central Ohio. That innovation started with James Buchwald, our next inductee, and it was carried on by his daughter, Karen Wright. If you've never met Karen Wright, you've missed something, because Karen Wright is a patriot. She believes in America. She believes in fair play and enterprise, and she's willing to stand and fight, and that's pretty much what she has done her whole life. Stood and fight while many people stand back and let others do the chore. We're going to induct James Buchwald and Karen Wright together. Unfortunately, because of age and infirmary, neither one can be here tonight. But on their behalf, I ask to come to the stage Alexander Wright, Karen's son, and the CEO of Ariel Corporation, a great Ohio company.
Thank you. First off, I want to convey that both my mother and grandfather send their regrets on being unable to attend, and to the fact that leaves you stuck with me. But I think it's really appropriate that they should be inducted together. Because if you look at the history of Ariel and what the company has accomplished, it's one long, continuous legacy that they've both made such a contribution to. It's hard to believe. And so bear with me. I think if they were up here, they would reflect on it a little bit, and it leaves me with about 6 decades worth of material to cover between the two of them. So first, just my grandfather. If you've ever met my grandfather, you know he's many things. He's an intellectual, one of the smartest people I've ever met. But at his core, he's a mechanical engineer. And what he is most excited about and passionate about is well-built, well-engineered machinery. And he spent his entire career pursuing that. And he carried that passion with him through 5 decades at Superior Engine, Cooper Bessemer, and finally at Ariel. And I was thinking about this on the way down, that if you guys keep drilling holes in the ground, hopefully by next year, Ariel will have made its 70,000th big compressor. And so between what we've built and all the equipment that Superior and Cooper put out, I would say he's responsible for well over 100,000 big, heavy, expensive pieces of machinery, tens of millions of horsepower, and it's hard to wrap your head around the energy that has been produced through that equipment over time. So it's quite a legacy. And my mother actually teed me up very well for this. I've never met somebody more passionate in their belief in the promise and potential of this industry that we're in, and in the core values of entrepreneurialism, innovation, fair play, and trustworthiness. And her belief and her optimism for the last 25 years of leadership at Ariel has fueled so much progress and growth that it's hard for me to wrap my head around. Her skill as an organizer and as a leader has shaped an incredible run of success and built a company with a truly unique culture, something that we're very proud of. And what's more, even though all that growth and work in the company was more than enough to keep her busy, she's found time to be engaged in a vast amount of both philanthropy and political activity that has helped both our community and the industry as a whole. So it's a remarkable legacy of hers as well. So look, I'm a poor substitute for both of them, but we as a family and a company are so grateful to the association for recognizing what they've done, and thank you for all the good work and for the consideration. So, yep. I get 2.
Thank you.
All right, back in the day, they used to call, there was a thing they called the Newark-Zanesville oil patch. It sort of ran the world for a while, and pretty interesting group of people from Newark on over to Zanesville. Some of them are sitting in this room still. One of those was somebody from Elkhad Oil and Gas, Maury Chapin, who built a great company based out of Newark, got involved in self-help gas, made a difference in the oil field and in innovation as the natural gas marketplaces emerged. Tonight we honor Maurice Chapin. Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Hello, this is a little new to me. Never have been able to speak, but I do want to thank the committee and this group that has honored me with such an honor. I always thought you had to be an executive of some type, but I really want to thank these people doing this. The big person I want to thank is my wife that had put up with all the times that I was working late all night, all week. How she put up with it, I don't know, but she raised the kids, and I raised the cane on the lazy bench sleeping and working in the mud. I want to thank everybody that's done everything for me, all the people that supported me, all the suppliers, the oil buyers. Never did make a bid price, but they did a good job, Keith. And all the truck drivers and people that came out and really worked with us. I thank you all very much.
So Dr. Robert Chase, Bob Chase, as we know him, has been a fixture in the industry for so many different reasons. The one that I have personally been impacted by the most are the people that he has produced for the industry that have come out of Marietta College with an attitude about energy development and oil and gas. He's been involved in things that have promoted the association, helped us in analysis, development, all sorts of things. And I really am honored to be able to honor him. So please come on up, Bob.
Well, I want to thank you all for this honor. I've been retired from teaching for over 6 years now and thought that I was beyond recognition, but I think I was wrong. I have to admit that I got more out of the Ohio Oil and Gas Association than I feel like I put in. I used to come to these meetings and beg for jobs, and guess what? I'm going to beg tonight. Marietta College has got some great talented kids down there that need summer jobs, and it's not too late to call down there. I don't have a phone number or an office anymore, but they would love to hear from you. We've got kids that are just begging to start a career in this industry just like everybody in this room has. So, I think what I did do to help this organization out more than anything was to help provide some really talented leaders and engineers like Jerry James and Gene Huck, sitting, where are you, Gene? I know you're here. Joe Brooker, Ben Thomas, Frank Leeper, Tim Altier, I know you know all these names, Joe Starkey, who I saw in the hall, Bill Murray, who's here tonight, and 37 Potmeyers. And actually, of those 37, Dan's the only one I didn't have as a student. Finally, I just want to thank my wife for putting up with me all these years. And I'll just mention that both my boys are in the oil business. They kind of followed in Dad's footsteps in a way. My oldest son works for Ken Miller Supply in Marietta, and my youngest son is the lead drilling engineer on a well that is sitting at 30,000 feet right now. I talked to him yesterday, in 5,000 feet of water in the Gulf of Mexico, scheduled to go to 35,000 feet 11 strings of pipe in the hole already. It's just a pretty amazing thing. And I'm leaving tomorrow morning to go down and see him. He gets married next month. So finally, I just want to thank the association for this honor. It's been great all the years that I was able to come up here and work with all of you here. So thank you so much.
You know, as we alluded to earlier, the recipients of this award are really across the industry. We have an industry that is homogeneous left to right, top to bottom. And Dwayne Clark is one of those guys who has worked in the middle of the industry for a number of different companies. And he's been a personal friend of mine, just by geography, because the office that they worked for the last, 20 years was in Streetsboro. And his employer, Petrox, is Mark Depew. So because of Dwayne's health problems, Mark's going to bring comments from Dwayne and some of his own insight. Thanks, Mark.
Well, for those of you that don't know Dwayne, Dwayne's been struggling with pancreatic cancer for the last 2.5 years. And his time is coming to an end, so he asked me to say a few words. These are Dwayne's words. He wants to express his sincere appreciation for those that have voted him into the Hall of Fame. He says in his humbleness that he can think of many others who deserve it much more than him. I might disagree with that. The induction into the Hall of Fame means a lot to me, and the most important thing for him is to be recognized by his peers in a business that he spent 43 years working for. He worked for 3 companies in those 43 years. He started as a Quaker State auditor, actually, and ended up in Belpre, Ohio, working to run their production operation, from being an auditor to being a production operations man. Moved to Belden and Blake, where he took care of a lot of things, and when he made the change out of Belden and Blake to Petrox, he came to us and asked whether we might be interested. We just purchased a whole bunch of wells from Belden and Blake, and he asked whether we might have a little space for him, and told him that no way we could possibly afford him. And we talked a little bit, and he ended up coming to work for us. He's the guy that was or is still, our legal counsel, our landman, our analyst, probably the most analytical guy I've ever met in my life, and it points out that those math majors from these small liberal arts colleges, Ohio Wesleyan's where he went, end up being, I was a CD student, right? And somebody told me a long time to hire the A students, right? Well, Dwayne was an A student, and I'll tell you what, he made a heck of a difference at Petrox. He wants to let everybody know that he values the friendships that he's fostered, the relationships with the colleagues both inside and in this association. And he maintains a lot of those friendships today. He says that this is a great industry made up of great people. He also was the producer committee chairman for a lot of years, and that was a position that he asked Ben and I actually whether he thought that was a position he should take on, and we told him we thought he should because his analytical skills and his most important function, in my view, was he had a knack for understanding unintended consequences, which is certainly something that in my entrepreneurial life and company I've never understood. Jump in with both feet and look back. So that's that's where Dwayne really shined, in my view, and he feels like his contribution to the Producers Committee did make a difference to this industry, and I believe that as well. So that's from Dwayne.
All right, it's just got a few fingerprints on it. but-
No problem.
Okay, that's all sorted out. Thank you. Isn't it amazing how things always work out? So this industry, for the period that I've been in it, has really been small businesses, familial enterprises. And the Gonzalez brothers personify that in every way. And getting to know Frank over the years has been, if nothing else, entertaining. Because everybody else in the room would be in blue jeans and dirty shirts, and Frank would show up in a suit that he used to wear at Timken. And he had so many suits, I guess, that wherever he went, he was always in a suit. And I'm pleased that you're in a suit tonight, Frank. Thank you. The one thing that he was most known for us was his diligent review of the minutes from the meetings that we'd have. And I think that just probably typifies, or it's an antithesis of me, in that he follows every detail, he makes it all work, and I know that he is the yang for his brother. There's no doubt. They make a perfect match, a great set, and it's been so much fun to work with these guys. And again, for me, it's great geography because they were in Canton, and I was just north of them. And so to that extent, Frank, please come up and let us honor you. Congratulations. Thank you, Tom.
Wow. I am honored and humbled to be standing before all of you, my prior inductees into the Hall of Fame, and this, the 10th class of inductees. I can't believe I'm up here with you guys. Let me introduce my table. My wife, Debbie, of 40 years. My business partner and my brother, Doug, 30 years. Our office manager, Diane, 30 years, Diane, really. She's got to retire one of these days. And her husband, Craig Stallman. And also at our table is Bill Bennett and Tammy from Cedar Valley, who were allies from the beginning at a typical little family company like ours. We drilled our first wells in 1989. They were in Northeast Ohio, and we put a budget on them of $405,000, and Doug and I didn't have 2 dimes. So we had to raise partners with joint venture partners, and our track record was 0. We were at the starting gate. It was a tough sell, but finally Mom and Dad came around for 1%. We had real trouble drilling good locations in northeastern Ohio because the townships and municipalities were prohibiting drilling for no sane reason, just because it was the thing to do at the time. So we developed directional drilling technology that enabled us to continue on for several more years with targets that were underneath a lake or a big steel plant or something. But with that directional drilling expertise, we kept paying attention to this horizontal stuff we were hearing about in the shale and other basins. So we thought, we're just poor boy Ohioans, but let's give this a try. And acreage in southern Ohio, and the formation looked right, was really cheap. And we drilled our first shale wells in Meigs County, Ohio. It's about 3 miles from the Ohio River. And we paid $2 an acre for those leases. It was too much. We thought with our poor boy technology, we would drill the horizontal shale in the Devonian Formation, all on air, no frack at all. Just open hole, see what you get natural. And here's what we got, nothing. We got nothing. So that taught us that we need to go back to northeastern Ohio where we are from. Marietta and west of there was 2 hours to drive. I was a guy, office guy. Doug did the driving. But while we were wasting our time in Meigs County, the Ohio Oil and Gas Association was very active in Columbus, Ohio at the State House. And you guys, I'll hear these bills talked about by number, but let me tell you what they really are. Ohio House Bill 278 in 2004 made the Ohio Department of Natural Resources the exclusive regulator in our state. No more Shaker Heights, no more, you name it. About 6 years later, in 2010, came Ohio Senate Bill 165, which defined urban drilling in Ohio. And we always followed the rules. We just want to know what the rules are. And the rules were different for every little burg you went to. So between those two bills that we refer to as numbers, exclusivity of ODNR and the definition of urban drilling, completely changed our company's focus. We went back to our hometown and we started drilling some really nice wells in Akron and on the east side of Cleveland where they hated our guts the whole time. But they were very good wells, produced a lot of oil, and I am so grateful, and I want to recognize our oil buyers that are here tonight, both Ergon and ARG, and our gas buyers, Dominion, East Ohio Gas, you're always East Ohio to me, Mac, I told you that, and Interstate Gas Supply. Those four companies have been so good to our association. Every year they're back here. I've been here 30 years. They've been here longer than that. Also contributing to our industry were our oil field service and goods suppliers. Jack Miller was here earlier. Thank you, Jack. Also, the partners and investors in our wells. A lot of them became industrial partners rather than mom and dad. But it was nice to have start mom and dad. And I said our track record at the beginning was nothing. Well, that first well that mom and dad got in, it paid back 350%. And that's why I'm standing here before you today. Thank you very much for inducting me into the Hall of Fame.